Hello, everyone. Hi, and welcome. I am Jen Cullen Williams, your host for Window Shopping, and I want to welcome you to this live and recorded webinar. It's a chat with coffee with my good friend, Donna Kim. Cheers. Donna Kim is a brilliant, a creative innovator. She's a content creator. She's a social media consultant, and she's the founder of Lomley Coffee, which is a very new brand that she launched during the pandemic, which is even crazier. And before that, and she's going to tell you a lot about her background, but she has on-air experience. She was a writer, an editor. She's worked on social media on behalf of really big brands as well as small brands, and then launched her own company. So she's got a lot of knowledge, and she's worked in a lot of different industries, from fashion, beauty, health, lifestyle trends, wedding markets. So I'm really excited. So I don't want to take too much more time. And today we're going to talk about content that converts, storytelling through digital. We're going to talk about tips for customers, as well as, handling negative reviews and kind of just best things that you can be doing for your business. So the only thing I have to say is if you have any questions, drop them into the chat, or you can put them in the Q&A, and we'll either address them as we go, or we'll answer them, towards the end. And so I want to welcome Donna to this chat. Say hello. Perfect. And I just want to ask the audience if they drink coffee, what kind of coffee? How do you take your coffee? Donna, how do you take your coffee?
Well, today, I have a little bit of almond milk in here. And sometimes I just go black, which is really nice. And it's cold, so it has to be hot right now. Although I do like iced coffee when it's cold too.
That's perfect. I drink mine actually the same way, either black or I go with a splash of almond milk. So I think we're very attuned. So I'm going to start off with the first question, which is, I would love to hear your career journey story. And, I know you started in sales and have launched your own company. So tell us about all of that.
Yeah, I mean, from the very, very beginning of my career, I've always been interested in fashion and beauty since I was a little girl. So legally, when I was able to work, my first part-time job was at Nordstrom. And there I learned everything about customer service and how to package, items and understand trends and sales at a very young age. Anybody that worked there sort of had full transparency as to what was important to them as a company. And I think having that foundation and that training really did sort of build my character and sort of helped me with my work ethic to where I am now. For example, with Nordstrom, it was so important to me because, again, customer service was almost drilled into our heads. Like that was so important to anything that you would partake in your life, whether it was at that company or anything else that you did. And so I moved to New York right out of high school, and I just kind of kept the ball rolling. I was enamored with the city, and I wanted to take up any opportunity I could. So I worked at magazines and TV stations and radio stations, and I worked part-time at hair salons and boutiques, and I just got that hustle very, very young. And so I started off my career as a trend reporter and a blogger, and I wrote about different trends and different kinds of items you could get like for under $100, or 5 ways to wear something and things like that. And so I think I've always had an affinity, and I was very attuned to trends and understanding the type of content that people were interested in reading. And in the early days, Twitter was kind of like the place to kind of see in terms of conversion, like how many people were liking it or retweeting it or responding to it. So I think that, and we'll obviously talk about Lomley, my coffee brand, but having the groundwork of understanding trends and customer service and dedicating my career to kind of helping and educating people about what's going on and what's happening in the world of fashion and beauty and lifestyle. So that's kind of where it all began.
Yeah, I mean, you've worn so many hats, which is really remarkable, and I think brings a lot of value because, there's so much you can infuse into your own company and beyond, and so I think that's really cool. And what I feel like the common thread between all of the different types of jobs is that you are a storyteller, but you are also a storyteller that is really looking to connect with your audience. So I'd love to just sort of hear from you kind of why storytelling and connecting with your audience is so important.
It's really important because in anything that you do, and all the influx of information we get all the time, you want to feel a sense of connection to whatever you're reading or whatever you're buying. And I think storytelling is a great way. Back in editorial in the magazines I used to work for, you would get all this, and sometimes it depends on what you like to read, but I think nowadays we are so glued to our phones that you only have a really short attention span. So I think as brands and as creators, you really need to keep that in mind. How do you hook the audience? So being able to address the who, what, where, when, why, and how in like under 15 seconds is probably something I don't think anyone was prepared to do. But we have platforms now that kind of help you to do that. And as a brand that's launching, or you're someone that's been around for a while, I think it's so important to kind of embrace these sort of changes to be able to tell your story and tell your brand in an effective way that can eventually help convert to whatever that may be.
That's awesome. And I guess convert, it's sort of a general term. I think of sales conversion, but I think that there's other ways that you can convert. So I'd love to hear from like a social media standpoint, what does that mean? And also from a business standpoint.
Yes, I agree with you. I think literally it means, sales, ROI. However, I think that conversion is quite broad in the sense where it could, whatever those goals may be for you. So whether it's views or likes or saves or shares or anything that's an impression on social media is a conversion. Followers is a great indicator of a conversion. Something that, and we'll talk about this obviously, of the types of content that will convert, but I think that when it comes to creating your content or figuring out ways to connect with your audience, naturally, and I would assume that that's something that would be very important to what you're doing. So that's how I would interpret that.
And how would you suggest that a retailer or brand creates compelling content that can convert to some kind of call to action, to some kind of ROI? What's your thoughts? And like, if you have any examples, that's always great.
Yes. So I've worked with many brands, big and small, and even for my own. So I'll use Lomley as an example. Being a brand new brand during a pandemic when we can't have events or fun, cool things to kind of showcase the product, and not to mention it's something you have to taste. So I really need to create content that's going to engage and convert, right? Of course, sales were important for me, but if anything, I really just wanted to gauge interest and excitement. And I had to do that with my content. So videos, always a win. The shorter, the brighter, the cooler effects, like whatever you can do to get someone to stop the scroll is a winner in my eyes. And I think that, with all these trends, and obviously with the different algorithms and based on user behavior and what your followers are interested in, it's so important that you stick to those common themes and understand the trends, because your explore page is great on Instagram particularly, is a great way to kind of see the types of content people are obsessed with and are into. And if you're a brand, spend some time there to kind of see what's popular and what's going on. It's a great free resource. And test and test and test. But I would say just starting off, like making sure that the content is compelling enough for someone to want to buy. And also, I feel that people and consumers are really interested in connection. So they want to know who's behind the item or whatever they're selling. And even if it's not an executive or the founder per se, someone that's there that they can feel like, okay, like they're a cool brand that has this person that is connecting with us, that's teaching us, is educating us, it's showing us. I think people are more open to wanting to put in that credit card because they want to believe in the brand and they want to support that brand. And also, I just think that right now, because we're in a pandemic and everybody's just trying to see brands that are ethical and trying to do the right thing, and they're trying to check off all these boxes. I think content that converts can also mean that this is a brand that actually cares about their products and their customers. And you really only have one shot, right? And unfortunately, because I don't know, this generation, the younger generation specifically, they're so attuned and they're very vocal about what's right and what's wrong. And I think that's incredible. But with that being said, it's so important to be mindful of that and being prepared that whatever content you create, that you're sort of hitting all those targets.
That's, that's great. I think such good takeaways on that. And I guess my next question would be about, I think you kind of touched on it, about the importance of customers, and your customers can be advocates for your brand. They can be ambassadors for your brand. They can also create content for you by them posting to whoever is, their community. And so, it's typically referred to as user generated content, UCG.
Yeah.
Um, anyways, can you tell me a little bit about how a brand can work with their customer base to drive their brand forward, using the content that their customers provide to them?
Yes. So using the content that the customers provide, I think that first and foremost, whatever you're selling, and this is my personal opinion in terms of best practices, whatever you're selling should sell itself almost. That it should be something that your customer wants to show off on social, right? And that starts even from the beginning of your packaging. Everything, every little detail counts, right? And we all love Amazon, or maybe we don't, or these sort of fast e-commerce sites that kind of get things done to you really quickly. And those are great. But I think that when you're buying something from whatever price point it is, these customers want to do the unboxing. They want to feel that they're getting a gift. They want to feel like they worked so hard on something that they're purchasing and they want to show it off. Or if it's not from that side, it's like something this product is so revolutionary, amazing, it made some kind of change to their life, evoking emotion. So I think that sometimes some brands overlook those little details, and I think it's important that right now in this day and age, like every little detail counts, and people want to document that. I'm going to use Lomley again as an example. I didn't ask really anyone to post content. I understand we have a million things going on. The last thing I want you to do is something else for me, but they were naturally wanting to post, and I got so many amazing assets from that. And I would share within a 10-minute frame, because I was getting the DMs, I was getting emails with photos and videos attached, or customer reviews, and I was collecting all of this stuff, and they saw that I was posting it or thanking them right away for all the kind words. It's just general best practice, and it's courtesy. So I think that when a brand is struggling a little bit in terms of finding those UGCs, or they're trying to find how to get people to want to post about their item, maybe take a step back and say, would I want to do that with this? Like how would somebody how would they post about it, and what would they say about it? So I think that's kind of the first step I would take.
Such good takeaways. And I'm totally one of the people that saw through we have a mutual friend, and I saw her posting about it, and our mutual friend's a huge coffee person. So I knew, okay, this is a real credible source for good coffee. And so of course I ordered, the 20 pack, and I'm every, couple weeks, I'm probably reordering. It's actually really wonderful coffee, but I loved, because I actually did a taste test and I recorded it, and I didn't know if I would post it, but I took a taste test and it was really good. And she immediately commented back, and, we knew each other ish through social, but it made us, fast friends. And so I think that engagement level was so crucial, and it's hooked me, and I'm, will gladly purchase and continue purchasing her coffee for the test of time, because the customer service, and honestly, it's a great product, and it's female founder, and I just felt like it tells the whole story. And that's what is really important, I think, in this time period to really stand out in a crowded market. So my other question is kind of related a little bit, just kind of taking a step back and maybe just kind of getting more into the weeds about, but for creating content that drives sales, are there any tips that brands can do to drive sales, especially through social media?
Yes, I think there's many things you can do. I think what I like to do with some of the clients I've had, so I do consulting for social media and digital marketing for brands, figuring out why some of the people aren't actually purchasing. Of course, there's paid ads and there's that whole monster there. But I think that unfortunately, what the algorithm, specifically on Instagram, because when I think people say social media, I'm assuming they're talking about Instagram. Instagram, only the tiniest percentage sees your content, your audience, right? So unfortunately, that means you really only have a few moments to really get somebody to want to learn more. So I always say one of the top winners would be like adding a little bit of mystery. So for example, adding curiosity or mystery to a piece. Some great things would be like, this is a bestseller, or this is a limited supply. And these are all factual things. We're not making it up. So if this is a bestseller in your store, explain why, right? Things are going fast. Add this sense of urgency to your language. Not all the time, of course, but I think that that actually creates this sense of desire and curiosity and want to be able to buy something. It sounds pretty obvious, but it's a tactic that I don't think a lot of brands truly really use, because again, the content that you're creating needs to be able to evoke that, because we see so many different things, so many clothes, so many accessories, so many tools and gadgets and whatever, but you want to feel like, what am I missing out on? Why do I need this? Does this fix a problem? Is this making me feel better? Is it, especially right now, not to be so advantageous with what's going on, but I think a lot of people are at home, they're looking for comfort more than ever. They're, whether they're following a favorite influencer or some sort of street style or whatever it is. I mean, I'm speaking specifically when it comes to fashion. I think that that's where you have an opportunity to really create fun, unique, engaging content that can hit all of those things. And then ask and engage with your audience. You can also do on stories, it's free. You can say, what do you want to see more of? Like, what are things that you're excited about? What are some things you hate? Ask questions, do it, because not only are you going to win on the algorithm, people are going to see, oh, wow, they like actually care about us. They actually care. They want my input. It also helps you after collecting all that data based on Instagram alone. Okay, like this is the kind of content we should create based on what they said. So I think that tapping into your current followers and sending out surveys and doing those things, really, they make you feel like you're part of it. And most likely you're going to want to keep shopping at that brand and coming back, right? And again, using Lamy as an example, I appreciate all kinds of coffee brands and tea brands, and we go to Starbucks or we'll go to a small cafe. What's the difference? Like, why would I, like, what would make someone want to buy something from me versus someone else, right? And so I was very meticulous and pretty straightforward, and I wanted it to, and slightly vulnerable to the kind of content I was producing, because I was like, hey, like, this is just me doing this all. Like, what more do you like to see? Like, what else would you like? And then I think that even though my audience is smaller than most, it's still generating enough information for me to know, okay, cool, this is the kind of content that they want to see, and this is what they want to do. I think I lost your sound.
Oh, there we go. I was on mute. There was a really fun thing that you did on social media. I think you did it on TikTok and then put it onto Instagram, but it was the Full House theme song, and you played every character, but it was for your business. So you were doing the accounting, you were doing the shipping, you were doing the marketing and social media and the sales. So I thought it was really clever how you put that little video together. And I think, what it showed was, the person behind the brand, which I think, at the end of the day, we're all humans and we're all humans that we're selling to. And you also showed all the things you're doing. And I thought, that was really compelling to me. And I really respect when companies showcase not just the highly filtered life, but also the really real moments that, put a business together. And so I think that's, illustrating your history or what you're doing is so great, and it helps to build community. And I think the strongest companies, out there right now are the ones that are building communities. And so one thing I'm curious on your opinion is negative reviews, because you put a post up, you may not have everyone in agreement with or liking your product, or maybe something got delivered late and they make a comment on your social, or they write on Yelp or Google reviews. What's your thoughts on how to handle it, how to approach it, and sort of how to kind of power through those negative reviews?
I really love this question. It could be my favorite question. I'll tell you why. So one of my jobs in my lifetime was I was a community manager for a feminist magazine. It was pretty awesome because people are ruthless. They will, if they don't like something or they have a political view on something or whatever, and we do it all the time, right? With everything that's going on, very vocal, sometimes hurtful, sometimes hateful. And my job was to kind of filter through which one was a troll, which one had an actual point, and having to manage those kinds of icky conversations, right? And strategize what the best approach was. It's never good to ignore or and turn a blind eye or just give like a generic thanks for your feedback, right? I think it's kind of nice to, and obviously if you have the bandwidth, the last part of what I said should work, but I'm saying that sometimes you're going to have these instances which are really uncomfortable, sometimes hurtful. And I think that being able to humanize it by asking, hey, or saying, hi, like, I hear you. Thank you for your concern. What would you want to see? Or how can you broaden this conversation? Or if it has to do with an order. So that's obviously from the content side from editorial, but from a brand side, to your question about like orders or things they don't like it or whatever could have happened, it happens. And this is where my Nordstrom training really comes into play. Hear them out. What happened? Let's fix it. Let's make it better. Maybe we can't make everyone happy. Well, let's not throw more fire to the fire. Like, let's just try to figure out what can we do to keep it peaceful. And so I think that oftentimes a lot of brands, and I've definitely opposed this, where they just delete it or they just turn it off the comments. And I understand that can be sometimes your last resort, but I would use it as your last resort. I would say that you could turn a person that didn't like your product into someone that may consider you again, right? And I think that word travels really fast. Whether you have 20 followers, 2 followers, or 200,000 or 2 million, you want to be able to you don't want to live in this cancel culture lifestyle where everybody just hates something and it's like done and you're over. So I really think that the brands that really do a great job sort of managing these kinds of things that are inevitably going to happen are the ones that can just take a step back and be like, hey, like, how can we mediate this? How can we make this better for you? I'm sorry, here's 15% off your next, or here's your money back. Like, it's within the window, or even if it's a little bit out the window, like, what can we do to make you hate us less? Right? In the sense where they didn't like the experience. What happened? You're the brand. You have a responsibility to uphold this brand. And at least you can sleep at night knowing you did everything you could to rectify the situation.
Absolutely. And I think the main key too is just doing it quickly and having a game plan ahead of time of how do you address certain types of issues and who's going to respond. And when maybe you pull in like maybe the upper management, or, at what point. I think it's really important to do it quickly, because I know when I've been in frustrated situations, I'm not one to really write bad reviews, but I have been known to, I'll send a DM to that company to say like my disappointment in something. And if they don't respond very quickly, like it takes them a week, I feel like they don't care about me at all. So I think it's really important that you stay up on those things. And I think it can really actually be an opportunity. I know Harvard Business Review just did an article about negative reviews and how this can actually help brands. And the way it can help brands or companies is a lot of negative reviews are things that were out of the brand's control, and any sane person reading it would understand that, like, you know, a weather delay, there's a, you know, a storm in some part of the country, and so therefore the package didn't arrive on time, although frustrating for the customer, not the fault of the company. So sometimes they write negative reviews and the company will address, well, we're really sorry, our hearts go out to X, Y, and Z area. And they really kind of rectify because they show their humanity in the response, and they can actually capture future customers. Because, you know, if I'm looking for a brand that I love, I'll scroll through and I look at the fives and I look at the ones, and I look at the ones and I kind of think, okay, so what was the problem? And then I look, did they respond? And did they respond in a really professional and authentic manner? And if they did, I think, you know, that's hard to do. So good for them. And they can, you know, I can give them some business. So it is an opportunity. So I'm sort of winding down on questions. And so if anyone has any questions, you can drop them in the chat. You can message just us, the panelists, and we'll try to get to those. And so for you, what would be your biggest takeaway for companies right now if they really just want to engage with their audience? Like, what is like the number one thing that they should be doing immediately?
Oh my gosh, the number one thing, look at TikTok. Look at what TikTok is doing. I'm telling you, it's such a controversial, every time I say that, it's like eyebrows raised. That is a gold mine of content right there. Get inspired, spend an hour, okay? Like just scrolling through, what are people obsessed with? What are people doing? Spend time there, look at your explore page. Spend time there, because the content that's aggregating into your feed is most likely what your followers are also seeing. And you want to be able to land there. That's how you're going to get more people to want to follow you and like your content, or the existing followers that you have. That's important. That's super important too. So I would say look at TikTok, because there's a lot of cool content in there, and maybe you can get inspired, and look at your explore page. And just try to utilize video, implement video into your strategy.
Perfect. I love that. One last question that actually just came in. Are there any brands or retailers or anything, like any industries that you go to for inspiration, or that you think are just really nailing it when it comes to content?
Oh my gosh, there's so many. From a customer service brand, like sort of community building that I love, it's a beauty brand, it's Tatcha Skin. They are just on it. I don't know how many people are working on their social team, but anytime I posted something, or when you see people posting the products that they're tagging, that they will immediately respond. So they'll love it, they'll regram it, they'll share it. So look at those kinds of brands, especially the beauty space. I think across the board, a lot of beauty brands do an excellent job trying to manage all the content that's coming in, and the customer service inquiries and things like that. I actually did a huge project with a beauty brand, and I was impressed with the level of care they put into every element of that. Another brand is, a really cool brand in sort of my world, I guess you could say, in the food world, is One Pan. It's this cooking pan that is relatively new. I've never heard of it until I saw all the ads and also the content. I started following them, and I started to see just like the creative use of videos, and a lot of it is actually shot on iPhone, and so it's really cool. And I think the founder is often there, which is really awesome. So I really like that brand and sort of the way that they're sort of sharing content. I mean, I have so many. Maybe this is a part two, because there's like There's so many different industries that I think are doing a great job. And on top of, personalities and people and content creators. And there's one fashion blogger I love. Her name is Brittany Xavier. And I just love her content. I mean, she's a fashion influencer and she does all of that, but I love the videos and content she does. And so I think if you're a fashion brand, take a look at the way that she shoots content and how maybe there's something you can learn there too.
Absolutely. Yeah. I actually really love when the founder or people or even team members from a company, when they talk about the product themselves and show themselves using it or wearing it or whatnot. I really feel like that converts me, and I'm in marketing. So I totally, know how that goes because I know how, what they're kind of doing on the back end, but it actually really does make me love it. Actually, one of the necklaces I have here was, a designer, and she was talking about it and and just, I had a glass of wine and boop, 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 and purchased. So I think, that it really helps because she was selling the inspiration behind the piece and what it means to her. And I could tie it to what it would mean to me. So we did get another question about asking Donna that, you do wear so many hats, very stylish ones. And so what are some different ways what are all the different ways that you need to provide content? So wearing so many, like some of the, is there any tools or anything that you use to help you with like creating the content?
Got it. I'm old school. I do the planner. I write it in my journal. I have so many of these guys. I have a whiteboard right behind me. I have Google Calendar, Google Sheets. I don't use anything magical, I swear. It's just the way I've always been. I've been like this. I think I've always been a hustler at heart. And so it sort of is like in my brain. I know what's most important, but I also give myself breaks so I can get creatively fueled again because it's so easy to get burnt out. I genuinely love everything that I do. And I think that when you genuinely love everything that you do, it just becomes a part of you. And it's something that is sort of almost like imbued inside of me. It's almost intuitive. Like I can kind of manage things, but I'm not Superwoman where I can do it all without getting burnt out or getting uninspired. That happens often. So staying organized by my sort of toolkit, which is my planner and my whiteboard and, my Google Sheets and calendars to kind of just, you have to have a little bit of infrastructure to be able to manage it all because I have two businesses essentially. But I think that, another thing is I surround myself with a lot of good people and good energy and entrepreneurs as well. Not everyone is an entrepreneur per se, but they all are very passionate about what they do and they're connected, and everyone I surround myself with are always just kind of, let's just help each other out. How do we do it? So it's not just me. I have like my friends and my team that kind of can help me. And then number two, it's just, I won't do something unless I'm really into it.
I love that. And actually on window shopping, the platform, you can actually connect, so buyers can connect with each other, and obviously brands and buyers can connect. So, I know our face-to-face connections aren't the same as they once were, but it is really cool to see all of the different technology that's available to do all of that. So where can people reach you if they have any follow-up questions? I know you actually do social media, so brands can hire you and you can help build out their social strategy and help them with their management of that. And then also you have your coffee line, which could be sold in stores or, or just for personal use. How can people reach you?
Okay, well, I wrote it here.
I like it.
So LomleyCoffee.com is my website to get the coffee. I actually did a coupon code for you guys, WWIN, lowercase, 15% off your order. This is my direct email, just hellodonnakim@gmail.com. If you have any questions, if you want to connect with me personally, I check that one. Also, I would give you my business one too, but this is my all-encompassing email. And then Instagram is also the best way to connect to. So you have @LomleyCoffee if you love coffee and you want to try it. And then Donna Detox is my main page where I have been working on that for many, many years. So that's where you can find me.
And she's on the window shopping app, so you can text through that. And then she's also on the Win's Instagram page, so you can find her handle there if you missed it. And I think we've covered everything. I'm caffeinated. I feel good. I feel inspired. I'm excited to see how this holiday season shapes out for, the brands and retailers. And I just want to thank you so much for joining the WIN team and the WIN community. And I hope you have a wonderful day.
You too. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.